Is it something that's popular? Is it something that not only is popular, but is it something that you can compete in? That's the key thing. Is it an area that you as an indie author can compete in? And this is where, again, some of this rubber is going to meet the road again. When you start looking at the categories in Amazon, if you just, publish your book and you just put it in the romance category, if you're a romance, author, you're probably not going to get found. That's too broad of a category. But if, just for kicks and grins, uh, vampire romance, whatever, when you start getting down into those subcategories, this is where you start learning where it is that you can compete. Now, here's a little tip that I want to give you. When you're trying to figure out where to publish as far as the categories go within Amazon, within Kindle, or whatever it is, when you're looking for the categories that you want to put your book into, I want you to remember these key things that I'm going to tell you right here. When you do what I've said before and you start typing in a search word and you start coming up with some of these books that are coming up, your goal is going to be, obviously you want to be in the top 100, but if you start looking at the top 20, here's what it is that you want to do. When you start typing in these words, you want to see how many books are in that category. And what you want to find, what you should be wanting to find, especially as an indie author, someone that doesn't have great name recognition or whatever, you want there to be 500 or less books in that category. That's going to be the goal. Less than 500 books in the category. Now, even with that, the next thing that you want to do is find out are these books selling? How well are these books selling? And the way that you tell that is by looking at where it says basically for the standing of the book as far as the ranking of the book in paid sales. And you want to see something something less than 20,000. That's what you want to see. But let's say somewhere between 20 and 50. 20 and 50,000. That's going to let you know that these books are selling. So when you do these things, when you start discovering that Amazon is a search engine, that's literally what it is. It's a search engine for products. It's a search engine for books. And it operates on a lot of the same principles as any other search engine does. Whether we're talking about Google, whether we're talking about Yahoo, Bing, YouTube. YouTube is a search engine. The same as what I'm talking about with Amazon. YouTube sells videos. Amazon sells products. That's the only difference. But all of them operate as search engines. When you start getting that understanding, you can start finding on Amazon specific genres in the subcategories in particular of where it is that you want to start putting your books. Here's the other thing. In your books and in your description, you have a title and then you have a subtitle. Your subtitle, you're going to want to some way, shape, or form weave in that one of those subcategories that you're in. If your book is called, I don't know, Golden Love, then you want to have a subcategory of, I don't know, you're going to, I'm not a romance novelist, but start looking at some of those categories. And if it's like, urban love or what else? Like I said, vampire dramas or vampire romance, all these different niche categories. But whatever those search terms are that you come up with, weaving that search term naturally into your title, as well as using those subcategory titles within the description of your book, is going to be vitally important because, as I said, Amazon is a search engine. And if you have these particular search terms, not only in the title of your book, but also in the description of your book, it's going to get you found a lot more. I've talked about briefly, strategies on really becoming a successful author in Amazon and making more and more book sales. I believe I've said that you want to have somewhere between 10 and 20 books ready to go in Amazon really before you can start making an impact, because there are things that you're going to have to do in order to use the strategies that I'm going to be presenting to you as we go on week to week leading up to the launch of my book, Book Launch Success Formula. Now, one of the things that I talk about, again, you want 10 to 20 books there because you're going to want to have a book that's constantly free. You're going to want to have a book that's constantly free so that it can be basically a seed book or a magnet that's going to draw people in to the rest of your books. I've heard people say, well, what kind of book should I have as my seed book? And I'm going to explain more about what a seed book here is in a moment, hopefully, before I run out of time. What should I put out there? Should I use, one of my best books? Should I use, one of my lower books or not so good books? Well, take this as an example. When you go to the grocery store and people are trying to sell you food, or you go to a restaurant and people are trying to get your business or whatever, do they give you the best or do they give you the cheapest? They give you the best, right? So you want to have one of your best books, especially if you write books in series form. You want to have your best book as your seed book, because what that's going to do is be very impressive to someone that's looking for books to read in your particular genre. This is going to be key. This is going to be extremely important. Don't skimp just because it's free. That free book is a seed to sell the rest of what you have. And don't be afraid to give out your best, because that's going to be the thing that is going to generate you more sales than anything else. We talked about strategies in this free book, in this seed book, in that very first page and in the description of your book, to basically put links back to your website in order for them to sign up for your mailing list. And there's going to be strategies that are coming forth on that as well, because that seed book is going to be what is building your list of folks that are already interested in what it is that you have to offer. This is why it's so important to get an understanding that Amazon is a search engine and you treat it as such. And when you look at that and when you start doing your research on YouTube, like I suggested earlier in this episode, learning about marketing, strategies for marketing your book, this is going to be extremely important. Again, I want to go back to this. You've got to invest you're either going to invest time, money, or a combination of the two to learn this art of marketing your book. Because what you do as an author, that's just what comes naturally to you. But marketing and sales is a whole nother animal. But it's the animal that you have to learn. You have to learn how to do this in order so people can enjoy the things that you're putting out there. You may see other authors and say, hey, their books aren't even as good as mine. No, they may not be. But you know what? They know how to market a whole lot better than you do. That's why they're making the money that they're making, because they understand that. This is beyond your publisher. This is beyond your PR person. It's beyond your editors and all that stuff. This is squarely on you as the author wanting to make a living at writing. You've got to learn marketing and sales. If you do not learn marketing and sales, you're going to be dead in the water. And I need to make that very, very clear. Spend that 40 to 80 hours just learning. Learning what to do is going to be a key thing for you moving forward. So go ahead, get on Amazon, do what it is that I told you in regards to looking up keywords, get your butt on YouTube or Vine or whatever it is, Vimeo, I don't know. But YouTube in particular, that's where I go all the time to learn the things that I learn for everything that I've ever wanted to learn. In particular, in the past, I'll say 7 to 8 years, YouTube is a tremendous resource. Start using it and investing your time to figure this thing out. Because there's one thing I know. If you put in the work, you're going to get the result. I hope this episode has been beneficial to you. I want you to visit the website and get my free book and get my series that's going to be there. It's going to be an audio series every week, which is this podcast, this radio show. You're going to get this delivered straight to you all the time, so you'll never have to miss an episode. But I want you to get my free book that's out there already. You can go ahead and sign up for it by going to booklaunchsuccessformula.com and go ahead and get this started. But put in your mind that this is going to take work. This is not something that's quick. This is something that is going to take a lot of effort and a lot of energy. And for someone telling you that being successful doesn't take a lot of work, they're probably going to continue to lead you down a wrong path with plenty of misconceptions. Look, I thank you again for listening to the show. If you have any questions, please go ahead and shoot me a message wherever it is that you're listening to this at, and I'll be sure and get it. You can follow me on Twitter at BookLaunchSF and also on Instagram at BookLaunchSF. I hope to hear from you guys real soon. Keep me up to date on how things are going with you, and I'll see you on next week.